Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. How are we doing? I want to know. And if you don't want to tell me, totally fine. Keep your secrets. Maybe you're just not feeling that chatty today. Maybe you just don't ever want to talk to me. That's cool too. No hard feelings. But I always love when you guys tell me how you're doing. So lay it on me. Hi, Harambe. How are ya? And hello to anyone else that's here that maybe just hasn't made themselves known yet. Oh man, this week, this month really flew by. What's today? The 31st of August? Like, this year I feel like I've been saying this, I don't know, maybe like the past 2 years, or as long as I've been streaming, like, I swear this year flew by so quick. Like, how is it September already? I'm blown away. Hi, Bull. How are ya? Let's see. Let me tell you guys how my weekend went. So, Friday night, I didn't have any solid plans, and truthfully, I was gonna stay in, but then I ended up going to play bingo, and that was a lot of fun. You guys know that I really enjoy going. Sorry, I just bumped my mic with my blanket. I really enjoy going to play bingo. I didn't win, unfortunately. I didn't win a damn thing, but I had a good time going. Like, it was just a chill Friday night. Saturday, I got my tattoo first thing in the morning, and it's currently in the process of healing. I have it like all what do you call it? Moisturized and everything, and I'm just kind of letting it chill. Um it took a while, I guess, like a cut 2 hours and 45 minutes or so, maybe, give or take. Um but it feels great. It didn't hurt. I don't want to say that it hurt. It didn't feel like pleasant, but I wouldn't say it was like, oh, so painful. It only hurt when it got like a little, it's like partially near my collarbone, so that kind of hurt a little bit, and then a little near my armpit. It's not in my armpit, but it's like near it, so that kind of was like, oh, but I'm in love with it. I'm trying to tell myself not to go get my other shoulder done, and I don't think I will. It's on my shoulder if you guys wanted to know, but I'm like, don't go get one on your other shoulder. It just looks so cool. I can't stop looking at it. I'm so happy with it. So 10 out of 10, great experience. I played a game of Hearthstone, or 2 games of Hearthstone, while I was getting it done. So, yep. And then Saturday night, I went and watched some college football games with some of my friends, and it really wasn't too late of a night. And today, was that a cover up on my shoulder? Yes, it was. I had a tiny tattoo on my shoulder that I guess I could tell you guys about it now that it's gone, but I had a tiny tattoo on my shoulder that I wanted to cover up. So it was indeed. It's like it was never even there. I look at it and I'm like, dang, I really can't see it at all. So was it Michael's name? No, it wasn't a name. Hi, Bayo. Welcome in. You're still sick. You had stag do yesterday, so that was an experience. I don't know what that is, Bull. What is stag do? Stag do. I don't know what that is. So yeah, it's healing right now. And then I also got my ears. I got the one tattoo on my ear. What do you call it? Touched up, and then the one on I got another tattoo on my left ear. So they're both in red, so they're like, most of the time they're hidden, and red fades, but they look cool. I'm quite happy with them. I took my helix piercing out, so since while they were stenciling it, I asked the other person, like, hey, could I pick something out of your flashbook, or could you do this on my other ear? And they were like, yeah, sure. So that's cool. I'm pretty happy, guys. And then like I said, I watched a football game with some friends. And then today I've just been chilling, and I think I thought my friends were gonna try to like go out and do something, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because now I'm staying home. It's kind of like crappy weather today, so I'm happy to stay in and just kind of have a cozy night with you guys, right? With you guys. Wait, what are they saying? So I'm not entirely sure. I think today I'm just gonna be reading to you guys. There's like there's like maybe like I don't think it looked like we were gonna try to fit our collab in today too alongside the reading, but Hayami is working on her homework, so we're gonna see how she's doing. But we're all rooting for her. We're all rooting for her. Okay, so yeah, today's been a chill day. Tomorrow I don't have work, so that's how I was gonna try to fit the collab day in today. But I do have to go grocery shopping and cook tomorrow. I also cleaned my floors, which was nice, and did like some general cleaning, but the floors was like my big task today. But I'd love to know what you guys did today if you want to tell me. If you don't feel like telling me, totally fine. Keep your secrets. Let's talk about this upcoming week. For the schedule, my schedule is still kind of wonky. I'm sorry, guys. I have not one, but 2 music events upcoming this week, which I'm really excited about. So this week's streaming schedule is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday is the upcoming week. As opposed to like Wednesday and Fridays have been kind of off the table. Really excited for those things, these music events. I love them so much. You're on a diet, currently snacking on baby carrots instead of a bag of chips, and you're going meatless? Meatless? Oh my lordy. Dang. I feel like that would be really hard for me to do for a whole month, especially as we're entering like the burr months. But good for you. I had a bag of chips before stream. Do you have like a goal in mind? Like, are you trying to, bulk up or trim down or cut or I guess just make general healthy choices? Let me know. Don't tell me your specifics though. You don't have to tell me like your specific weight or anything like that. Hi, Kazuya. That has to be you. Yes, welcome in, welcome in. Okay, so today, since I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna be doing, I think I am gonna read Lose This Tummy. All right, good for you, Bayo. If that's what your heart desires, good for you. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. What do we call it? Yeah, I'm gonna be reading to you guys. I was supposed to pick out my favorite chapters in this book, and it's kind of hard because I finished it and I'm so engulfed in the next one. But what I'm gonna do I'm getting ready to start the the 4th Bridgerton book. So what I'll do is I'll start bookmarking the chapters that I just found like breathtaking. So that way next time I do this, I have them marked out for you. What I figured I'd do here is I'd just ask you guys to pick a random number, a random chapter, and I'll try that. A random chapter number. I'll try to locate it in here. It doesn't have like a really good table of contents, so. Or I could just start reading the next book to you guys. Because I kind of started The Duke and I, so I could start with the Viscount Who Loved Me, which I thought was better than The Duke and I. Where is it? 401, 401. Actually, maybe I'll just do that. I'll just start over with this. You guys can enjoy a little bit of the next book. Let me close this. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Hey, Toasty, how's your weekend been? It's been good, Arctic. In a nutshell, bingo, tattoo, football, floors. That's a very brief summary of how my weekend's been. But it's been good. For some reason, a lot of people think going meatless for a whole month is very hard. I recently bought some Impossible Burger patties. They're not bad. But it's fake. It's fake. Of course they're fake. No, just kidding. I don't know. I feel like it is hard because so many things have meat in them, you know? Sometimes I don't feel as full when I don't have meat. Let's see if I don't have like a more Bridgerton-y background. I feel like I might. I can just put it here. Give me like 1 second. I feel like I have like a tea party looking background somewhere. At least I thought I did, but when I first started streaming, I saved a ton of backgrounds thinking that I would need them. And I'm sure you guys have noticed I I really don't use them. Gosh dang it. How about this one? This one's kind of Bridgerton-y. It's kind of an eyesore too, but it's a little bright. Let me put myself more in the middle. We can be like big toasty. I thought I had like a tea party looking background though. Huge. Let me see if I don't have like a, let me just quickly look through all these. I feel like I should have one that's more tea party. Oh wait, we have like a terrace. What is this one called? Hang on now. Bear with me, hardy har har. Some of these I gave like really good names, and others I just named like X123. Like what? So I have to like individually look through them. This one I did name it balcony. This is gonna be perfect. This would be perfect for Benedict's book because the first scene takes place on a terrace. Ah, that would be so romantic. Okay, which one do we like more? Do we like this bright background, or are we feeling more of this one? Number 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 2? 2? 2. All right. No love for 1. Should I be any bigger? I don't even know if I could go bigger. I might be able to zoom in. Do I zoom in? Is this good? I feel like I'm humongous. I wish I had like a book asset. Just continue. Yeah, just in that. Well, I just deleted it. It's gone now, so I cannot do it. More. Higher. Okay. Let's see. We will just be starting with the next book. Now, if reading isn't your thing, I'm so sorry. You're probably not going to like this stream very much. I'm taking my headphones off because I am not somebody who can read with music. I wonder if they have the Bridgerton soundtrack on here. That is what we need. That is what we need. Oh my god, they do. Okay, well, I hope you guys are prepared to listen to the Bridgerton soundtrack, because that's what we're going to be listening to. Hopefully there's no... What does this sound like? I don't think any of these have words in them. They shouldn't. But if they do, I don't really know what to say other than just, you know, let me know. Because I'm sure hearing words and music doesn't sound good. Can you guys even hear it? Is it too quiet? Is it good? Hello there. Welcome in, Tofiko. How are you, Yerp? I hope you're having a lovely day. Lovely day. It has some smutty parts in it, but it doesn't happen until a long time in the book, so there's no way I'm gonna get there. You're playing some Persona 5 Royale. Very cool, very cool. I don't know what that game is about, but that is very neat. I feel like I need to move my mic, otherwise I'll hit it. Do I sound so far away? Or do I sound like okay here? What are we thinking? You're not dead, but you certainly feel like you're dying. I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing. I hope you feel better, Yerp. Sounding good. And the music sounds good. I'm gonna assume the music sounds good. Okay. There are 8 Bridgerton children, which means there are 8 Bridgerton books. This one is book number 2 about Antony. He's the oldest. Oh my God, you guys hear that? He's the oldest Bridgerton, obviously. So they're named from A to Z, A to H, and he's number 1. So the first book is about Daphne, who's Bridgerton sibling number 4. I don't know why they started with her, but this one, what was that? What was what? This? Do you guys hear that? Some ASMR. The book's a little squeaky. I treated myself to the Bridgerton box set. So there are 4 books, but it's 2 books in one. So is he the bee guy? He is the bee guy. Very good. So this one is called The Viscount Who Loved Me. And it's about Anthony Bridgerton. So enjoy. Enjoy until the foreseeable future. Because I don't know what we're going to be doing today. But in the meantime, we're reading. So Anthony Bridgerton had always known he would die young. Oh, not as a child. Young Anthony had never had cause to ponder his own mortality. His early years had been a young boy's perfection, right from the very day of his birth. It was true that Anthony was the heir to an ancient and wealthy viscountcy, but unlike most other aristocratic couples, Lord and Lady Bridgerton were very much in love, and they saw their son's birth not as the arrival of an heir, but rather that of a child. And so there were no parties, no fetes, no celebration other than that of a mother and father staring in wonderment at their new son. The Bridgertons were young parents. Edmund, barely 20, and Violet, just 18. But they were sensible, and they were strong, and they loved their son with a fierceness and devotion that was rarely seen in their social circles. Much to her own mother's horror, Violet insisted upon nursing the boy herself, and Edmund never subscribed to the prevailing attitude that fathers should neither see nor hear their children. He took the infant on long hikes across the fields of Kent, spoke to him of philosophy and poetry before he could possibly understand the words, and told him a bedtime story every night. Because the Viscount and the Viscountess were so young and so very much in love, it came as no surprise to anyone when just 2 years after Antony's birth, he was joined by a younger brother, christened Benedict. Hello, Joseph the viewer. I am reading the second Bridgerton book, The Viscount That Loved Me. Maybe we should pin that. Europe, could you pin that? Or I'll pin it right quick. That's probably a good thing to put up there. Also, back in the day, Europe, sorry, just before I get back into it, back in the day, it was a common practice for there to be wet nurses who would nurse your children. I don't really know why they would have this practice, but yeah, there would be a woman who took care of your baby for you. So, yeah. Okay. I don't usually look at chat when I'm reading, but I happen to see that. Let's see. Edmund immediately adjusted his daily routine to take 2 sons on his hikes, and he spent a week holed up in the stables, working with his leather worker to devise a special pack that would hold Antony on his back while he held the baby Benedict in his arms. They walked across fields and streams, and he told them of wondrous things, of perfect flowers and clear blue skies, of knights in shining armor and damsels in distress. Violet used to laugh when they returned all windblown and sun-kissed, and Edmund would say, "See, here's our damsel in distress. Clearly we must save her." And Antony would throw himself into his mother's arms, giggling as he swore he'd protect her from the fire-breathing dragon they'd seen just 2 miles down the road in the village. 2 miles down the road in the village? Violet would breathe, keeping her voice carefully laden with horror. Heaven above! What would I do without these strong men to protect me? "Benedict's a baby," Antony would reply. "But he'll grow up," she'd always say, tousling his hair. "Just as you did, and just as you still will." Edmund always treated his children with equal affection and devotion. But late at night, when Antony cradled the Bridgerton pocket watch to his chest, given to him on his 8th birthday by his father, who had received it on his 8th birthday from his father, he liked to think that his relationship with his father was just a little bit special. Not because Edmund loved him the best. By that point, the Bridgerton siblings numbered 4. Colin and Daphne had arrived fairly close together, and Antony knew very well that all the children were well loved. No, Antony liked to think that his relationship with his father was special simply because he'd known him the longest. After all, no matter how long Benedict had known his father, Antony would have always had 2 years on him, and 6 on Colin. And as for Daphne, well, besides the fact that she was a girl, the horror. She'd known father a full 8 years less than he had, and he liked to remind himself, always would. Edmund Bridgerton was quite simply the very center of Antony's world. He was tall, his shoulders were broad, and he could ride a horse as if he'd been born in the saddle. He always knew the answers to arithmetic questions, even when the tutor didn't. He saw no reason why his son should not have a treehouse, and then he went and built it himself. And his laugh was the sort that warmed a body from the inside out. Edmund taught Antony how to ride, he taught Antony how to shoot, he taught him how to swim. He took him off to Eton himself rather than sending him in a carriage with servants, as most of Antony's future friends arrived. And when he saw Antony glancing nervously about the school that would become his new home, he had a heart-to-heart talk with his eldest son, assuring him that everything would be all right. And it was. Antony knew it would be. His father, after all, never lied. Antony loved his mother. Hell, he'd probably bite off his own arm if it meant keeping her safe and well. But growing up, everything he did, every accomplishment, every goal, every single hope and dream, it was all for his father. And then one day, everything changed. It was funny, he reflected later, how one's life could alter in an instant, how 1 minute everything could be a certain way and then the next it's simply not. It happened when Antony was 18, home for the summer, and preparing for his first year at Oxford. He was to belong to All Souls College, as his father had before him, and his life was as bright and dazzling as any 18-year-old had a right to enjoy. He had discovered women, and perhaps more splendidly, they had discovered him. His parents were still happily reproducing, having added Eloise, Francesca, and Gregory to the family, and Antony did his best not to roll his eyes when he passed his mother in the hall, pregnant with her 8th child. It was all a bit unseemly, in Antony's opinion, having children at their age, but he kept his opinions to himself. Who was he to doubt Edmund's wisdom? Maybe he, too, would want more children at the advanced age of 38. When Antony found out, it was a late afternoon. He was returning from a long and bruising ride with Benedict and had just pushed through the front door of Aubrey Hall, the ancestral home of the Bridgertons, when he saw his 10-year-old sitting on the floor. Benedict was still in the stables, having lost some silly bet with Antony, the terms of which required him to rub down both horses. Antony stopped short when he saw Daphne. It was odd that his sister was sitting in the middle of the floor in the main hall. It was even more odd that she was crying. Daphne had never cried. "Daph?" he said hesitantly, too young to know what to do with a crying female and wondering if he'd ever learn what. "What?" But before he could finish his question, Daphne lifted her head, and the shattering heartbreak in her large brown eyes cut through him like a knife. He stumbled back a step, knowing something was wrong, terribly wrong. "He's dead," Daphne whispered. "Papa is dead." For a moment, Antony was sure he'd misheard. His father couldn't be dead. Other people died young, like Uncle Hugo, but Uncle Hugo had been small and frail. Well, at least smaller and frailer than Edmund. You're wrong, he told Daphne. You must be wrong. She shook her head. Eloise told me. It was... Anthony knew he couldn't shake his sister while she sobbed, but he couldn't help himself. It was what, Daphne? A bee, she whispered. He was stung by a bee. For a moment, Anthony could do nothing but stare at her. Finally, his voice hoarse and barely recognizable, he said, A man doesn't die from a bee sting, Daphne. She said nothing, just sat there on the floor, her throat working convulsively as she tried to control her tears. He's been stung before, Anthony added, his voice rising in volume. I was with him. We were both stung. We came across a nest. I was stung on the shoulder. Unbidden, his hand rose to touch the spot where he'd been stung so many years before. In a whisper, he added, He on his arm. Daphne just stared at him with an eerily blank expression. He was fine, Anthony insisted. He could hear the panic in his voice and knew he was frightening his sister, but he was powerless to control it. A man can't die from a bee sting. Daphne shook her head, her dark eyes suddenly looking about 100 years old. It was a bee, she said in a hollow voice. Eloise saw it. 1 minute he was just standing there, and the next he was... Anthony felt something very strange building within him, as if his muscles were about to jump through his skin. The next he was what, Daphne? Gone. She looked bewildered by the word, as bewildered as he felt. Anthony left Daphne sitting in the hall and took the stairs 3 at a time up to his parents' bedchamber. Surely his father wasn't dead. A man couldn't die from a bee sting. It was impossible. Utterly mad. Edmund Bridgerton was young, he was strong, he was tall, his shoulders were broad, his muscles were powerful, and by God, no insignificant honeybee could have failed him. But when Anthony reached the upstairs hall, he could tell by the utter silence of the dozen or so hovering servants that the situation was grim. And their pitying faces. For the rest of his life, he'd be haunted by those pitying faces. He thought he'd have to push his way into his parents' room, but the servants parted as if they were drops in the Red Sea, and when Anthony pushed open the door, he knew. His mother was sitting on the edge of the bed, not weeping, not even making a sound, just holding his father's hand as she rocked slowly back and forth. His father was still as... Anthony didn't want to think about it. Mama? He choked out. He hadn't called her that for years. She'd been mother since he'd left for Eton. She turned, slowly, as if hearing his voice through a long, long tunnel. What happened? He whispered. She shook her head, her eyes hopelessly far away. I don't know, she said. Her lips remained parted by an inch or so, as if she'd meant to say something more but then forgotten to do it. Anthony took a step forward, his movements awkward and jerky. He's gone, Violet finally whispered. He's gone, and oh, God, She placed a hand on her belly, full and round with child. I told him. Oh, Anthony, I told him. She looked as if she might shatter from the inside out. Anthony choked back the tears that were burning his eyes and stinging his throat and moved to her side. It's all right, Mama, he said, but he knew it wasn't all right. I told him this had to be our last, she gasped, sobbing onto his shoulder. I told him I couldn't carry another, and we'd have to be careful, and oh God, Anthony, what I'd do to have him here and give him another child. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Anthony held her while she cried. He said nothing. It seemed useless to try to make any words fit the devastation in his heart. He didn't understand either. The doctors came later that evening and pronounced themselves baffled. They'd heard of such things before, but never in one so young and strong. He was so vital, so powerful, nobody could have known. It was true that the Viscount's younger brother, Hugo, had died quite suddenly the year before, But such things did not necessarily run in families. And besides, even though Hugo had died by himself out of doors, no one had noticed a bee sting on his skin. And again, nobody had looked. Nobody could have known. The doctors kept saying over and over until Antony wanted to strangle them all. Eventually, he got them out of the house, and he put his mother to bed. They had to move her into a spare bedroom. She grew agitated at the thought of sleeping in the bed she shared for so many years with Edmund. Antony managed to send his 6 siblings to bed as well, telling them that they'd all talk in the morning. That everything would be well, and he wanted to take care of them as their father would have wanted. Then he walked into the room where his father's body still lay and looked at him. He looked at him and looked at him, staring at him for hours, barely blinking. And when he left the room, he left with a new vision of his own life and new knowledge about his own mortality. Edmund Bridgerton had died at the age of 38, and Antony simply couldn't imagine ever surpassing his father in any way, even in years. Whew. That was the prologue. The prologue of The Viscount and I. Ugh. Crazy stuff, right? I need to have some water before I keep reading. Should I still read Lady Whistledown's portions in a southern accent? Or should I try to do it true to form? I think I was doing them in the southern accent last time. What did we see? First child type stuff. I know, right? He knew he was the favorite. Wow, what a wholesome family. It's strange. Yes, so back then in those times, right, it was bizarre to see a family that actually loved each other. Kind of crazy. And it's nice because this writer portrays that really well. And actually the show portrays it really well too. Like you can tell they love each other a lot. And I think that's really refreshing to see. Dang, mom and dad are some dirty dogs. They love each other. They just want to keep making babies. Plus, like, sure, back then, protection wasn't a thing. 38, man's ancient. I once watched a man die from a bee sting. Source, I was the bee. Oh my gosh. I've only been stung once. Let me knock on some wood. I've only been stung by a bee once. And I think in this, at some point, like in the author's note, she writes that sometimes you can get stung once and the allergy doesn't develop until like the second time. So I'm always like, man, I really hope I don't find out that I'm allergic again someday. What a totally normal family. They are. Man. Can you guys... Is my internet okay? Am I coming through totally fine? I hope I am. Okay. Let me check to see if there are any new developments. None yet. You're totally fine. Okay. We'll continue on. So, Lady Whistledown is a gossip writer. I guess I should explain this because, you know, it's not the first. For anyone new here, anyone who's not familiar with the premise of these books, Lady Whistledown is a gossip writer, and she reports on everything that's happening during the season. And the season is where it's like it's like Love Island, except more formal. They go on balls, they call on each other. The point is, like, the eligible women and the eligible bachelors try to find a match and get married. And Lady Whistledown likes to write about all the gossip, all the tea, if you will. She lets everybody know what's going on in the land. So, and she does not hold back. Families loving each other is strange even today, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I would say that's kind of strange. I feel like that's a value that's been lost because so many people are just awful. But, so it makes sense, but I feel like it is rare to see like a nice loving family. More formal than Love Island. I can't believe it. I know, right? Okay. So it's set in London, but I'm gonna read it in a southern accent because I do that better than I do a London one. So enjoy. Chapter 1 of The Viscount and I, or the Viscount. What is it called? The Viscount Who Loved Me. The topic of rakes has, of course, been previously discussed in this column, and this author has come to the conclusion that there are rakes and there are rakes. Anthony Bridgerton is a rake. A rake, lowercase, is youthful and immature. He flaunts his exploits, behaves with utmost idiocy, and thinks himself dangerous to women. A rake, uppercase, knows he is dangerous to women. He doesn't flaunt his exploits because he doesn't need to. He knows he will be whispered about by men and women alike, and in fact, he'd rather they didn't whisper about him at all. He knows who he is and what he has done. Further recountings are to him redundant. He doesn't behave like an idiot for the simple reason that he isn't an idiot, any more so than must be expected among all members of the male gender. He has little patience for the foibles of society, and quite frankly, most of the time this author cannot say she blames him. And if that doesn't describe Viscount Bridgerton, surely this season's most eligible bachelor to perfection, this author shall retire her quill immediately. The only question is, will 1814 be the season he finally succumbs to the exquisite bliss of matrimony? This author thinks not. Lady Whistledown Society Papers, April 20th, 1814. Please don't tell me, Kate Sheffield said to the room at large, that she is writing about Viscount Bridgerton again. Her half-sister Edwina, younger by almost 4 years, looked up from behind the single-sheet newspaper. How could you tell? You're giggling like a madwoman. Edwina giggled, shaking the blue sofa on which they both sat. See, Kate said, giving her a little poke in the arm, you always giggle when she writes about some reprehensible rogue. But Kate grinned. There was little she liked better than teasing her sister. In a good-natured manner, of course. Mary Sheffield, Edwina's mother and Kate's stepmother for nearly 18 years, glanced up from her embroidery and pushed her spectacles farther up the bridge of her nose. What are you two laughing about? Kate's in a snit because Lady Whistledown is writing about that rakish Viscount again, Edwina explained. I'm not in a snit, Kate said, even though no one was listening. Bridgerton? Mary asked absently. Edwina nodded. Yes. She always writes about him. I think she just likes writing about rakes, Edwina commented. Of course she likes writing about rakes, Kate retorted. If she wrote about boring people, no one would buy her newspaper. That's not true, Edwina replied. Just last week, she wrote about us, and heaven knows we're not the most interesting people in London. Kate smiled at her sister's... I don't know how you say this word. Naivety? I don't know how you say it, so sorry. She's saying her sister's naive. Kate and Mary might not be the most interesting people in London, but Edwina, with her buttery-colored hair and startlingly pale blue eyes, had already been named the incomparable of 1814. Kate, on the other hand, with her plain brown hair and eyes, was usually referred to as the incomparable's older sister. She supposed there were worse monikers. At least no one had yet begun to call her the incomparable's spinster sister, which was a great deal closer to the truth than any of the Sheffields cared to admit. At 20, nearly 21, if one was going to be scrupulously honest about it, Kate was a bit long in the tooth to be enjoying her first season in London. But there really hadn't been any other choice. The Sheffields hadn't been wealthy even when Kate's father had been alive. And since he'd passed on 5 years earlier, they'd been forced to economize even further. They certainly weren't ready for the poorhouse, but they had to mind every penny and watch every pound. With their straitened finances, the Sheffields could manage the funds for only one trip to London. Renting a house and a carriage and hiring the bare minimum of servants for the season cost money. More money than they could afford to spend twice. As it was, they'd had to save for 5 solid years to be able to afford this trip to London, and if the girls weren't successful on the marriage mart, well, no one was going to clap them into debtor's prison but they would have to look forward to a quiet life of genteel poverty at some charmingly small cottage in Somerset. And so the two girls were forced to make their debuts in the same year. It had been decided that the most logical time would be when Edwina was just 17 and Kate was almost 21. Mary would have liked to have waited until Edwina was 18 and a bit more mature, but that would have made Kate nearly 22, and heavens, but who would marry her then? Kate smiled wryly. She hadn't even wanted a season. She'd known from the outset that she wasn't the sort who would capture the attention of the ton. She wasn't pretty enough to overcome her lack of dowry, and she never learned to simper and mince and walk delicately and do all those things other girls seemed to know how to do in the cradle. Even Edwina, who didn't have a devious bone in her body, somehow knew how to stand and walk and sigh so that men came to blows just for the honor of helping her cross the street. Kate, on the other hand, always stood with her shoulders straight and tall, couldn't sit still if her life depended upon it, and walked as if she were in a race. And why not? She always wondered. If one was going somewhere, what could possibly be the point in not getting there quickly? As for her current season in London, she didn't even like the city very much. Oh, she was having a good enough time, and she'd met quite a few nice people. But a London season seemed a horrible waste of money to a girl who would have been perfectly content to remain in the country and find some sensible man to marry there. But Mary would have none of that. "When I married your father," she said, "I vowed to love you and bring you up with all the care and affection I'd given to a child of my own blood." Kate had managed to get in a single "but" before Mary carried on with, "I have a responsibility to your poor mother, God rest her soul, and part of that responsibility is to see you married off happily and securely." "I could be happy and secure in the country," Kate had replied. Mary had countered, "There are more men from which to choose in London." After which Edwina had joined in, insisting that she would be utterly miserable without her, and since Kate could never bear to see her sister unhappy, her fate had been sealed. And so here she was, sitting in a somewhat faded drawing room in a rented house in a section of London that was almost fashionable, and she looked about mischievously. And she was about to snatch a newspaper from her sister's grasp. "Kate!" Edwina squealed, her eyes bugging out of the tiny triangle of newsprint that remained between her right thumb and forefinger. "I wasn't done yet." "You've been reading it forever," Kate said with a cheeky grin. "Besides, I want to know what she has to say about Viscount Bridgerton today." Edwina's eyes, which were usually compared to peaceful Scottish locks, glinted devilishly. "You're awfully interested in the Viscount, Kate. Is there something you're not telling us?" "Don't be silly. I don't even know the man. And if I did, I would probably run in the opposite direction. He is exactly the sort of man the two of us should avoid at all costs. He could probably seduce an iceberg." "Kate!" Mary exclaimed. Kate grimaced. She'd forgot her stepmother was listening. "Well, it's true," she said. "I've heard he's had more mistresses than I've had birthdays." Mary looked at her for a few seconds, as if trying to decide whether or not she wanted to respond, and then finally she said, "Not that this is an appropriate topic for your ears, but many men have." "Oh," Kate flushed. There was little less appealing than being decisively contradicted while one was trying to make a grand point. "Well then, he's had twice as many. Whatever the case, he's far more promiscuous than most men, and not the sort Edwina ought to allow to court her." "You are enjoying a season as well," Mary reminded her. Kate shot Mary the most sarcastic of glances. They all knew that if the Viscount chose to court a Sheffield, it would not be Kate. "I don't think there is anything in there that's going to alter your opinion," Edwina said with a shrug as she leaned toward Kate to get a better view of the newspaper. "She doesn't say very much about him, actually. It's more of a treatise on the topic of rakes." Kate's eyes swept over the typeset words. "Humph," she said, her favorite expression of disdain. "I'll wager she's correct. He probably won't come up to scratch this year." "You always think Lady Whistledown is correct," Mary muttered with a smile. She usually is, Kate replied. You must admit, for a gossip columnist, she displays remarkable good sense. She has certainly been correct in her assessment of all the people I have met thus far in London. You should make your own judgments, Kate, Mary said lightly. It is beneath you to base your opinions on a gossip column. Kate knew her stepmother was right, but she didn't want to admit it, so she just let another and turned back to the paper in her hands. Whistledown was, without a doubt, the most interesting reading material in all of London. Kate wasn't entirely certain when the gossip column had begun. Sometime the previous year, she'd heard. But one thing was certain. Whoever Lady Whistledown was, and no one really knew who she was a well-connected member of the Ton. She had to be. No interloper could ever uncover all the gossip she printed in her columns every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Lady Whistledown always had all the latest ondits, and unlike other columnists, she wasn't hesitant about using people's full names. Having decided last week, for example, that Kate didn't look good in yellow, she wrote clear as day. The color yellow makes the dark-haired Miss Catherine Sheffield look like a singed daffodil. Kate hadn't minded the insult. She heard it said on more than one occasion that one could not consider oneself arrived until one had been insulted by Lady Whistledown. Even Edwina, who was a huge social success by anyone's measure, had been jealous that Kate had been singled out for an insult. And even though Kate didn't particularly want to be in London for a season, she figured that if she had to participate in the social whirl, she might as well not be a complete and utter failure. If getting insulted in a gossip column was to be her only sign of success, well then, so be it. Kate would take her triumphs where she may. Now, when Penelope Featherington bragged about being likened to an overripe citrus fruit in her tangerine satin, Kate could wave her arm and sigh with a great drama, yes, well, I am a singed daffodil. Someday, Mary announced out of the blue, giving her spectacles yet another push with her index finger, someone is going to discover that woman's true identity, and then she's going to be in trouble. Edwina looked at her mother with interest. Do you really think someone will ferret her out? She has managed to keep her secret for over a year now. Nothing that big can ever stay a secret forever, Mary replied. She jabbed her embroidery with her needle, pulling a long strand of yellow thread through the fabric. Mark my words. It's all going to come out sooner or later, and when it does, a scandal the likes of which you have never seen is going to erupt all over town. Well, if I knew who she was, Kate announced, flipping the single-sheet newspaper over to page 2, I'd probably make her my best friend. She's fiendishly entertaining, and no matter what anyone says, she's almost always right. Just then, Newton, Kate's somewhat overweight corgi, trotted into the room. Isn't that dog supposed to stay outside? Mary asked. Then she yelped, Kate! As the dog angled over to her feet and panted as if waiting for a kiss. Newton, come here this minute, Kate ordered. The dog gazed longingly at Mary, then waddled over to Kate, hopped up onto the sofa, and laid his front paws across her lap. He's covering you with fur, Edwina said. Kate shrugged as she stroked his thick, caramel-colored coat. I don't mind. Edwina sighed, but she reached out and gave Newton a quick pat anyway. What else does she say? She asked, leaning forward with interest. I never did get to see page 2. Kate smiled at her sister's sarcasm. Not much. A little something about the Duke and Duchess of Hastings, who apparently arrived in town earlier this week. A list of the food at Lady Danbury's ball, which she proclaimed surprisingly delicious, and a rather unfortunate description of Mrs. Featherington's gown Monday last. Edwina frowned. She does seem to pick on the Featheringtons quite a bit. And no wonder, Mary said, setting down her embroidery as she stood up. That woman wouldn't know how to pick out a dress color for her girls if a rainbow wrapped itself right around her neck. Mother! Edwina exclaimed. Kate clapped a hand over her mouth, trying not to laugh. Mary rarely made such opinionated pronouncements, but when she did, they were always marvelous. Well, it's true. She keeps dressing her youngest in tangerine. Anyone can see that poor girl needs a blue or a mint green. You dressed me in yellow, Kate reminded her. And I'm sorry I did. That will teach me to listen to a shop girl. I should have never once doubted my own judgment. We'll simply have to have that one cut down for Edwina. Since Edwina was a full head shorter than Kate and is several shades more delicate, this would not be a problem. When you do, Kate said, turning to her sister, make sure you eliminate the ruffle on the sleeve. It's dreadfully distracting and it itches. I had half a mind to rip it off right there at the Ashbourne ball. Mary rolled her eyes. I am both surprised and thankful that you saw fit to restrain yourself. I am surprised, but not thankful, Edwina said with a mischievous smile. Just think of the fun Lady Whistledown would have had with that. Ah, yes, Kate said, returning her grin. I can see it now. The singed daffodil rips off her petals. I'm going upstairs, Mary announced, shaking her head at her daughter's antics. Do try not to forget that we have a party to attend this evening. You girls may want to get a bit of rest before we go out. It's sure to be another late night for us. Kate and Edwina nodded and murmured promises to the effect as Mary gathered her embroidery and left the room. As soon as she was gone, Edwina turned to Kate and asked, have you decided what you're going to wear tonight? The green gauze, I think. I should wear white, I know, but I fear it does not suit me. If you don't wear white, Edwina said loyally, then neither shall I. I shall wear my blue muslin. Kate nodded her approval as she glanced back at the newspaper in her hand, trying to balance Newton, who had flipped over onto his back and was angling to have his belly rubbed. Just last week, Mr. Burbrook said you are an angel in blue, on account of it matching your eyes so well. Edwina blinked in surprise. Mr. Burbrook said that? To you? Kate looked up. Of course, all of your beaux try to pass on their compliments through me. They do? Why ever? Kate smiled slowly and indulgently. Well now, Edwina, it might have something to do with the time you announced to the entire audience at the Smythe Smith musicale that you could never marry without your sister's approval. Edwina's cheeks turned just the slightest bit pink. It wasn't the entire audience, she mumbled. It might as well have been. The news traveled faster than fire on rooftops. I wasn't even in the room at the time, and it only took 2 minutes for me to hear about it. Edwina crossed her arms and let out a that made her sound rather like her older sister. Well, it's true, and I don't care who knows it. I know I'm expected to make a grand and brilliant match, but I don't have to marry someone who will ill-treat me. Anyone with the fortitude to actually impress you would have to be up to snuff. Am I so difficult to impress, then? The two sisters looked at each other, then answered in unison, yes. But as Kate laughed along with Edwina, a niggling sense of guilt rose within her. All three Sheffields knew that it would be Edwina who would snag a nobleman or marry into fortune. It would be Edwina who would ensure that their family would not have to live out their lives in genteel poverty. Edwina was a beauty, while Kate was Kate. Kate didn't mind. Edwina's beauty was simply a fact of life. There were certain truths Kate had long since come to accept. Kate would never learn to waltz without trying to take the lead. She'd always be afraid of electrical storms, no matter how often she told herself she was being silly. And no matter what she wore, no matter how she dressed her hair or pinched her cheeks, she'd just never be as pretty as Edwina. Besides, Kate wasn't certain that she'd like all the attention Edwina received. Nor, she was coming to realize, would she relish the responsibility of having to marry well to provide for her mother and sister. Edwina, Kate said softly, her eyes growing serious. You don't have to marry anyone you don't like. You know that. Edwina nodded, suddenly looking as if she might cry. If you decide there isn't a single gentleman in London who is good enough for you, then so be it. We shall simply go back to Somerset and enjoy our own company. There's no one I like better anyway. Nor I, Edwina whispered. And if you do find a man who sweeps you off your feet, then Mary and I shall be delighted. You should not worry about leaving us either. We shall get on fine with each other for company. You might find someone to marry as well, Edwina pointed out. Kate felt her lips twist into a small smile. I might, she allowed, knowing that it probably wasn't true. She didn't want to remain a spinster her entire life, but she doubted she would find a husband here in London. Perhaps one of your lovesick suitors will turn to me once he realizes you are unattainable, she teased. Edwina swatted her with her pillow. Don't be silly. But I'm not, Kate protested, and she wasn't. Quite frankly, this seemed to be the most likely avenue by which she might actually find a husband in town. Do you know the sort of man I'd like to marry? Edwina asked, her eyes turning dreamy. Kate shook her head. A scholar. A scholar? A scholar, Edwina said firmly. Kate cleared her throat. I'm not certain you'll find many of those in town for the season. I know. Edwina let out a little sigh. But the truth is, and you know this even if I'm not supposed to let it on in public, I'm really rather bookish. I'd much rather spend my days in a library than gadding about in Hyde Park. I think I should enjoy life with a man who enjoyed scholarly pursuits as well. Right. Kate's mind worked frantically. Edwina wasn't likely to find a scholar back in Somerset either. You know, Edwina, it might be difficult to find you a true scholar outside the university towns. You might have to settle for a man who likes to read and learn as you do. That would be all right, Edwina said happily. I'd be quite content with an amateur scholar. Kate breathed a sigh of relief. Surely they could find someone in London who liked to read. And do you know what? Edwina added, you truly cannot tell a book by its cover. All sorts of people are amateur scholars. Why, even that Viscount Bridgerton lady Whistledown keeps talking about might be a scholar at heart. Bite your tongue, Edwina. You are not to have anything to do with Viscount Bridgerton. Everyone knows he's the worst sort of rake. In fact, he's the worst rake, period, in all of London, in the entire country. I know. I was just using him as an example. Besides, he's not likely to choose a bride this year anyways. Lady Whistledown said so, and you yourself said that she is almost always right. Kate patted her sister on the arm. Don't worry. We will find you a suitable husband, but not Viscount Bridgerton. At that very moment, the subject of their discussion was relaxing at White's with two of his three younger brothers, enjoying a late afternoon drink. Anthony Bridgerton leaned back in his leather chair, regarded his scotch with a thoughtful expression as he swirled it about, and then announced, I'm thinking about getting married. Benedict Bridgerton, who had been indulging in a habit his mother detested, tipping his chair drunkenly on the back two legs, fell over. Colin Bridgerton started to choke. Luckily for Colin, Benedict regained his seat with enough time to smack him soundly on the back, sending a green olive sailing across the table. It narrowly missed Antony's ear. Antony let the indignity pass without comment. He was all too aware that his sudden declaration had come as a bit of a surprise. Well, perhaps more than a bit. Complete, total, and utter were words that came to mind. Antony knew that he did not fit the image of a man who had settling down on his mind. He spent the last decade as the worst sort of rake, taking pleasure where he may. For as well as he knew, life was short and certainly meant to be enjoyed. Oh, he'd had a certain code of honor. He never dallied with well-bred young women. Anyone who might have any right to demand marriage was strictly off limits. With 4 younger sisters of his own, Antony had a healthy degree of respect for the good reputations of gently bred women. He had nearly fought a duel for one of his sisters, all over a slight to her honor, and as for the other 3, he freely admitted that he broke out in a cold sweat at the mere thought of their getting involved with a man who bore a reputation like his. No, he certainly wasn't about to despoil some other gentleman's younger sister. But as for the other sort of women, the widows and actresses who knew what they wanted and what they were getting into, he'd enjoy their company, and enjoyed it well. Since the day he left Oxford and headed west to London, he'd not been without a mistress. Sometimes, he thought wryly, he'd not been without 2. He'd ridden in nearly every horse race society had to offer, he'd boxed at Gentleman Jackson's, and he'd won more card games than he could count. He lost a few too, but he disregarded those. He'd spent the decade of his 20s in a mindful pursuit of pleasure, tempered only by his overwhelming sense of responsibility to his family. Edmund Bridgerton's death had been both sudden and unexpected. He'd not had a chance to make any final requests of his eldest son before he perished, but if he had, Antony was certain that he would have asked him to care for his mother and siblings with the same diligence and affection Edmund had displayed. And so, in between Antony's rounds of parties and horse races, he'd sent his brothers to Eton and Oxford, gone to a mind-numbing number of piano recitals given by his sisters, no easy feat, 3 out of 4 of them were tone deaf, and kept a close and watchful eye on their family finances. With 7 brothers and sisters, he saw it as his duty to make sure there was enough money to secure all of their futures. As he grew closer to 30, he'd realized that he was spending more and more time tending to his heritage and family, and less in his old pursuit of decadence and pleasure. And he'd realized that he liked it that way. He still kept a mistress, but never more than one at a time. And he discovered that he no longer felt the need to enter every horse race or stay late at a party just to win that last hand of cards. His reputation, of course, stayed with him. He didn't mind that, actually. There were certain benefits to being thought England's most reprehensible rake. He was nearly universally feared, for example. And that was always a good thing. But now, it was time for marriage. He ought to settle down, have a son. He had a title to pass on, after all. He did feel a rather sharp twinge of regret, and perhaps a touch of guilt as well, over the fact that it was unlikely that he'd live to see his son into adulthood. But what could he do? It was the firstborn Bridgerton of a firstborn Bridgerton of a firstborn Bridgerton 8 times over. He had a dynastic responsibility to be fruitful and multiply. Besides, he took some comfort in knowing that he'd leave 3 able and caring brothers behind. They'd see to it that his son was brought up with the love and honor that every Bridgerton enjoyed. His sisters would coddle the boy, and his mother might spoil him. Antony actually smiled a bit as he thought of his large and often boisterous family. His son would not need a father to be well loved, and whatever children he sired, well, they probably wouldn't remember him after he was gone. They'd be young, unformed. It had not escaped Antony's notice that all of the Bridgerton children, he, the eldest, was the one most deeply affected by their father's death. Antony downed another sip of his scotch and straightened his shoulders, pushing such unpleasant ruminations from his mind. He needed to focus on the matter at hand, namely, the pursuit of a wife. Being a discerning and somewhat organized man, he'd made a mental list of requirements for the position. First, she ought to be reasonably attractive. She needn't be a raving beauty, although that would be nice, but if he was going to have to bed her, he figured a bit of attraction ought to make the job more pleasant. Second, she couldn't be stupid. This, Antony mused, might be the most difficult of his requirements to fill. He was not universally impressed by the mental prowess of London debutantes. The last time he'd made the mistake of engaging a young chit fresh out of the schoolroom in conversation, she'd been unable to discuss anything other than food. She'd had a plate of strawberries in her hand at the time, and the weather, and even that she hadn't got right. When Antony had asked if she thought the weather was going to turn inclement, she replied, "I'm sure I don't know. I've never been to Clement." He might be able to avoid conversation with a wife who was less than brilliant, but he did not want stupid children. Third, and this was the most important, she couldn't be anyone with whom he might actually fall in love. Under no circumstances would this rule be broken. He wasn't a complete cynic. He knew that true love existed. Antony, who'd ever been in the same room with his parents, knew that true love existed, but love was a complication he wished to avoid. He had no desire for his life to be visited by that particular miracle. And since Antony was used to getting what he wanted, he had no doubt that he would find an attractive, intelligent woman with whom he would never fall in love. And what was the problem with that? Chances were he wouldn't have found the love of his life even if he had been looking for her. Most men didn't. Good God, Antony, what has you frowning so? Not that olive. I saw it clearly, and it didn't even touch you. Benedict's voice broke him out of his reverie, and Antony blinked a few times before answering, "Nothing. Nothing at all." He hadn't, of course, shared his thoughts about his own mortality with anyone else, even his brothers. It was not the sort of thing one wanted to advertise. Hell, if someone had come up to him and said the same thing, he probably would have laughed him right out the door. But no one else could understand the depth of the bond he'd felt with his father. And no one could possibly understand the way Antony felt it in his bones. How he simply knew that he could not live longer than his father had done. Edmund had been everything to him. He'd always aspired to be as great a man as his father, knowing that that was unlikely, yet trying all the same. To actually achieve more than Edmund had, in any way, that was nothing short of impossible. Antony's father was, quite simply, the greatest man he'd ever known, possibly the greatest man who'd ever live. To think that he might be something more than that seemed conceited in the extreme. Something had happened to him the night his father had died, when he remained in his parents' bedroom with the body, just sitting there for hours, watching his father and trying desperately to remember every moment they'd shared. It would be so easy to forget the little things. How Edmund would squeeze Antony's upper arm when he needed encouragement, or how he could recite from memory Balthazar's entire "Sigh No More" song from Much Ado About Nothing. Not because he thought it particularly meaningful, but just because he liked it. And when Antony finally emerged from the room, the first streaks of dawn pinking the sky, he somehow knew that his days were numbered, and numbered in the same way Edmund's had been. "Spit it out," Benedict said, breaking into his thoughts once more. "I won't offer you a penny for your thoughts, since I know they can't possibly be worth that much, but what are you thinking about?" Antony suddenly sat up straighter, determined to force his attention back to the matter at hand. After all, he had a bride to choose, and that was surely serious business. "Who is considered the diamond of the season?" he asked. His brothers paused for a moment to think on this, and then Colin said, "Edwina Sheffield. Surely you've seen her. Rather petite, with blonde hair and blue eyes. You can usually spot her by the sheep-like crowd of lovesick suitors following her about." Antony ignored his brother's attempts at sarcastic humor. Has a brain?" Colin blinked, as if the question of a woman with a brain were one that had never occurred to him. "Yes, I rather think she does. I once heard her discussing mythology with Middlethorpe, and it sounded as if she had the right of it." "Good," Antony said, letting his glass of scotch hit the table with a thunk. "Then I'll marry her." And that is the end of chapter 1. Hi, Osiris. Hey, Vader. Hey, PSO Addict. What are we saying? My London accent is perfect. It is not. Danger Zone.
Water.
He's not an idiot. Guess I'm not a rake. You said it pretty much. You got it. Bull, what did you do? Your name looks different. 21? No one's gonna want her. Isn't that crazy that like 21 is considered old and undesirable? Meanwhile, Antony's like almost 30. Oh god. They're gonna be one of the poorest. Better find a rich husband to abuse her in return for societal status. Needs more Kate. Oh my gosh. I also like the song covers they did. Hi, TC. Never know what ones I'll do. Thank you for the hydrate check. It's a pretty interesting story, isn't it? Okay. I'm gonna take a quick... What am I reading? I'm reading The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the second book in the Bridgerton series. It's based... Words. Let me stop. It's number 2 in the Bridgerton series, and season 2 is, what do you call it? Season 2 follows this book. But I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break and stand up, and just to not talk for a little bit. When we return, I'm going to keep reading. I'll probably do like 1 to 2 more chapters more at most, and if I haven't heard back about the collab, I will do something else. So, how many books are there? There are 8 books in total. 8 books in total, and number 3, my lord, has been my favorite. It is so beautifully written. Like, Oh my gosh. And it actually like it made me a little sad reading some of it too, but mostly it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like I'll do a deep dive of the Bridgerton relationships at some point, or at least what I know so far one of these days. But I'm loving it. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. When we return, more Bridgerton, like 1 to 2 more chapters more, and maybe some gaming. OMG, I was typing number 3, my lord, when you said that. I know, right? Like, how could you not say that? Okay, I'll see you guys here. A lore breakdown would be cool. I'd have to like make like, oh shoot, I'm so zoomed in. I'd have to do like a gaming what? I'd have to do like a chart or like a PowerPoint or something on the relationships. Actually, maybe I might do that someday. Okay, I will be right back. See you guys in 5 minutes. Enjoy these orchestra covers. Okay, be right back, y'all. All right, y'all, we are back. What did you do during the break? Did you stand up? Did you get water? Did you stare off into the void? I want to know. And if you don't want to tell me, totally fine. Keep your secrets. Me, I checked my phone and I sat down and said nothing. You have acquired food? Ooh, what food? What food did you acquire? Oh, lordy. My shoulder is so itchy, guys. It's itchy and I want to scratch, but I can't. This is the worst part. It's the worst part. I just want to like. Anyways, what are you eating? Before the break, I was reading The Viscount Who Loved Me. Oh no. Hold on. Pin this, manually unpin at the end of the stream. There we go. A gyro, fries, fattoush, mango lassi, and churros. That sounds delicious. I'm coming over. Share your food with me or else. No, just kidding. Yeah, so before the break I was reading, and now after the break I'll probably read like 1 or 2 more chapters, and then I'll see where we're at, if we are collabing or not, and then I'll probably play something else. I'll probably play something. I don't work tomorrow, so I can stream just a pinch longer. Just a pinch longer, guys. Hold on. A pinch. A pinch. Yeah, you guys, you already know. All right, I'm actually gonna move my keyboard up, because I feel like it's kind of in the way of where I want to read. I have to hold the book up in like an awkward place, so I end up fidgeting. But I don't want it to fall on me. I'll just move it off to the side. Watching you kiss her. Do 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 do. That's what this song is playing right now. Okay. Double voice. What do you mean double voice? Are you hearing my voice twice?
What?
Is that just me? It has to be. No, it has to be just you. Do you have me open twice? Hold on for double voice? Or you wish for double voice? That's crazy. Okay. Your Twitch app has been echoing? That's crazy. It can't possibly be. Oh, it's just your phone. Okay, I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, please, like, say it ain't so. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, here we go. I'll try reading Lady Whistledown's thing in a British accent, but I don't think I can. Bull, don't come for me if I butcher this. No, I don't think I can't. But I'm gonna try. Maybe like Julie Andrews. Hearing more of Toe's voice is a lovely voice is a wonderful thing. That's funny. You're so funny. You're so funny. But thank you. At the Hot Side Bowl Wednesday night, Viscount Bridgerton was seen dancing with more than one eligible young lady. This behavior can only be termed startling, as Bridgerton normally avoids proper young misses with a perseverance that would be impressive were it not so utterly frustrating to all marriage-minded mamas. Can it be that the Viscount read this author's most recent column, and in that I can't do it. And in that perverse manner all males of the species seem to endorse, decided to prove this author wrong? That's how I really sound, guys. Truthfully, this is my real voice, but I have to hide it because I know it's kind of unsavory. Who is this upper class English lady? What does she do with toast? I cannot. I cannot. It may seem that this author is ascribing to herself far more importance than she actually wields, but men have certainly made decisions based on far, far less. Lady Whistledown Society Papers, April 22nd, 1814. Yeehaw. Howdy, howdy. This is chapter 2, by the way. By 11 o'clock that evening, 11 o'clock. Okay, sorry. By 11 o'clock that evening, all of Kate's fears had been realized. Anthony Bridgerton had asked Edwina to dance. And even worse, Edwina had accepted. Even worse, Mary was gazing at the couple as if she'd like to reserve a church that minute. Will you stop that? Kate hissed, poking her stepmother in the ribs. Stop what? Looking at them like that. Mary blinked. Like what? Like you're planning the wedding breakfast. Oh. Mary's cheeks turned pink, a guilty sort of pink. Pink. Mary! Well, I might have been, Mary admitted. And what's wrong with that, I might ask? He'd be a superb catch for Edwina. Were you listening this afternoon in the drawing room? It's bad enough that Edwina has any number of rakes and rogues sniffing about her. You cannot imagine the amount of time it has taken me to sort the good suitors from the bad. But Bridgerton? Kate shuddered. He's quite possibly the worst rake in all London. You cannot want her to marry a man like that. Don't you presume to tell me what I can and cannot do. Good night, Bull. Sleep well and sweet dreams. I hope you feel better. Sending good vibes your way. Don't tell me what I can and cannot do, Catherine Grace Sheffield, Mary said sharply, stiffening her spine until she'd straightened to her full height, which was still a full head shorter than Kate. I am still your mother, well, your stepmother, and that counts for something. Kate immediately felt like a worm. Mary was all she'd ever known as a mother, and she'd never, not even once, made Kate feel any less than her daughter. She'd tucked Kate into bed at night, told her stories, kissed her, hugged her, helped her through the awkward years between childhood and adulthood. The only thing she had not done was ask Kate to call her Mother. It counts, Kate said in a quiet voice, letting her gaze fall shamefully down to her feet. It counts for a lot. And you are my mother. In every way that matters. Mary stared at her for a long moment, then started to blink rather furiously. Oh dear, she choked out, reaching into her reticule for a handkerchief. Now you've gone and turned me into a watering pot. I'm sorry, Kate murmured. Oh, here, turn around so no one sees you. There you are. Mary pulled out a white square of linen and dabbed at her eyes, the exact same blue as Edwina's. I do love you, Kate. You know that, don't you? Of course, Kate exclaimed, shocked that Mary would even ask. And you know that I know, Mary patted her arm. Of course I know. It's just that when you agree to be a mother to a child that you haven't born, your responsibility is twice as great. You must work even harder to ensure that child's happiness and welfare. Oh, Mary, I do love you, and I love Edwina. At the mention of Edwina's name, they both turned and looked out across the ballroom at her, dancing prettily with the Viscount. As usual, Edwina was a vision of petite loveliness. Her blonde hair was swept atop her head, a few stray curls left to frame her face, and her form was the epitome of grace as she moved through the steps of the dance. The Viscount, Kate noted with irritation, was blindingly handsome. Dressed in stark black and white, he eschewed the garish colors that had become popular among the more foppish members of the ton. He was tall, stood straight and proud, and had thick chestnut hair that tended to fall forward over his brow. He was, on the surface at least, everything man was meant to be. They make a handsome couple, don't they? Mary murmured. Kate bit her tongue. She actually bit her tongue. He's a trifle tall for her, but I don't see that as an insurmountable obstacle. Do you? Kate clasped her hands together and let her nails bite into her skin. It said a great deal about the strength of her grip that she could feel them all the way through her kid gloves. Mary smiled. A rather sly smile, Kate thought. She gave her stepmother a suspicious look. He dances well, don't you think? Mary asked. He's not going to marry Edwina, Kate burst out. Mary's smile slid straight into a grin. I was wondering how long you'd manage to hold your silence. Far longer than was my natural inclination, Kate retorted, practically biting each word. Yes, that much was clear. Mary, you know he is not the sort of man we want for Edwina. Mary cocked her head slightly to the side and raised her brows. I believe the question ought to be whether he is the sort of man Edwina wants for Edwina. He's not that either, Kate replied heartedly. Just this afternoon she told me that she wanted to marry a scholar. A scholar! She jerked her head toward that dark-haired cretin dancing with her sister. Does he look like a scholar to you? No. But then again, you don't look like an accomplished watercolorist, and yet I know you are. Mary smirked a bit, which needled Kate to no end, and waited for her reply. I'll allow, Kate said through clenched teeth, that one ought not to judge a person merely on his outer appearance. But surely you must agree, from all that we have heard of him, he does not seem the sort to spend his afternoons bent over musty books in a library. Perhaps not, Mary mused, but I had a lovely chat this morning with his mother. His mother? Kate fought to follow the conversation. What has that to do with anything? Mary shrugged. I find it difficult to believe that such a gracious and intelligent lady could have raised anything but the finest of gentlemen, regardless of his reputation. But Mary, when you are a mother, she said loftily, you will understand what I mean. But have I told you, Mary said, the purposeful tone of her voice indicating that she'd meant to interrupt, how lovely you look in the green gauze. I'm so glad we chose it. Kate looked dumbly down at her dress, wondering why on earth Mary had changed the subject so suddenly. The color suits you well. Lady Whistledown shall not be calling you a singed blade of grass in Friday's column. Kate stared at Mary in dismay. Perhaps her stepmother had become overheated. It was crowded in the ballroom, and the air had grown thick. Then she felt Mary's finger jabbing her directly below her left shoulder blade, and she knew something else was afoot entirely. Mr. Bridgerton! Mary suddenly exclaimed, sounding as gleeful as a young girl. Horrified, Kate jerked her head up to see a startlingly handsome man approach them. A startlingly handsome man who looked startlingly like the Viscount currently dancing with her sister. She swallowed. It was either that or let her jaw hang open. Mr. Bridgerton! Mary said again. How nice to see you. This is my daughter, Catherine. He took her limp, gloved hand and brushed an airy kiss across her knuckles. So airy, in fact, that Kate rather suspected he hadn't kissed her at all. Miss Sheffield, he murmured. Kate, Mary continued, this is Colin Bridgerton. I met him earlier this evening while I was talking with his mother, Lady Bridgerton. She turned to Colin and beamed. Such a lovely lady. He grinned back. We think so. Mary tittered. Tittered! Kate thought she might gag. Kate, Mary said again. Mr. Bridgerton is brother to the Viscount who is dancing with Edwina, she added unnecessarily. I gathered, Kate replied. Colin shot her a sideways glance, and she knew instantly that he had not missed the vague sarcasm in her tone. It is a pleasure to meet you, Miss Sheffield, he said politely. I do hope you will favor me with one of your dances this evening. Of course, she cleared her throat. I would be honored. Kate, Mary said, nudging her softly, show him your dance card. Oh, yes, of course. Kate fumbled for her dance card, which was tied prettily to her wrist with a green ribbon. That she had to fumble for anything actually tied to her body was a bit alarming, but Kate decided to blame her lack of composure on the sudden and unexpected appearance of a heretofore unknown Bridgerton brother. That, and the unfortunate fact that even under the best of circumstances she was never the most graceful girl in the room. Colin filled his name in for one of the dances later that evening, then asked if she might like to walk with him to the lemonade table. Go, go, Mary said before Kate could reply. Don't worry about me, I'll be just fine without you. I can bring you back a glass, Kate offered, trying to figure out if it was possible to glare at her stepmother without Mr. Bridgerton noticing. Not necessary. I should really get back to my position with all the other chaperones and mammas. Mary whipped her head around frantically until she spied a familiar face. Oh, look! There is Mrs. Featherington. I must be off. Portia! Portia! Kate watched her stepmother's rapidly retreating form for a moment before turning back to Mr. Bridgerton. I think, she said dryly, that she doesn't want any lemonade. A sparkle of humor glinted in his emerald green eyes. Either that, or she's planning to run all the way to Spain to pick the lemons herself. Despite herself, Kate laughed. She didn't want to like Mr. Colin Bridgerton. She didn't want to like any Bridgerton after all she'd read about the Viscount in the newspaper. But she allowed that it probably wasn't fair to judge a man based on his brother's misdeeds, so she forced herself to relax a bit. Are you thirsty? She asked, or were you merely being polite? I am always polite, he said with a wicked grin, but I am thirsty as well. Kate took one look at that grin, lethally combined with those devastating green eyes, and nearly groaned. You are a rake as well, she said with a sigh. Colin choked. On what? She did not know, but he choked nonetheless. I beg your pardon? Kate's face flushed as she realized with horror that she'd spoken aloud. No, it is I who should beg your pardon. Please forgive me. That was unforgivably rude. No, he said quickly, looking terribly interested and not a little bit amused. Do continue. Kate swallowed. There was really no way to get out of it now. I was merely... She cleared her throat. If I might be frank... He nodded, but his sly grin telling her that he could not imagine her being anything but frank. Kate cleared her throat again. Really, this was getting ridiculous. She was starting to sound as if she'd swallowed a toad. It occurred to me that you might be rather like your brother. That is all. My brother? The Viscount, she explained, thinking it must be obvious. I have 3 brothers, he explained. Oh. Now she felt stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, he said with great feeling. Most of the time they're a dreadful nuisance. Kate had to cough to cover up her small gasp of surprise. But at least you were not comparing me to Gregory, he said with a dramatic sigh of relief. He shot her a cheeky, sideways look. He's 13. Kate caught the smile in his eyes and realized he'd been bamming her all along. This was not a man who wished his brothers off to perdition. You're rather devoted to your family, aren't you? She asked. His eyes, which had been laughing throughout the conversation, turned dead serious without even a blink. Utterly. As am I, Kate said pointedly. And that means... It means, she said, knowing she should hold her tongue, but speaking anyways, that I will not allow anyone to break my sister's heart. Colin remained silent for a moment, slowly turning his head to watch his brother and Edwina, who were just then finishing up their dance. I see, he murmured. Do you? Oh, indeed. They arrived at the lemonade table, and he reached out and took 2 glasses, handing one to her. She already had 3 glasses of lemonade that evening, a fact of which she was sure Mary had been aware before she insisted Kate have some more. But it was hot in the ballroom. It was always hot in the ballroom, and she was thirsty. Again. Colin took a leisurely sip, watching her over the rim of his glass, then said, My brother has it in his mind to settle down this year. 2 could play at this game, Kate thought. She took a sip of her lemonade, slowly, before speaking. Is that so? I would certainly be in a position to know. He is reputed to be quite a rake. Colin looked at her assessingly. That is true. It is difficult to imagine so notorious a rogue settling down with one woman and finding happiness in a marriage. You seem to have given such a great deal of thought to this scenario, Miss Sheffield. She leveled a frank stare directly at his face. Your brother is not the first man of questionable character to court my sister, Mr. Bridgerton, and I assure you I do not take my sister's happiness lightly. Surely any girl would find happiness in marriage to a wealthy and titled gentleman. Isn't that what a season in London is all about? Perhaps, Kate allowed, but I'm afraid that line of thinking does not address the true problem at hand, which is... which is that a husband can break a heart with far greater intensity than a mere suitor. She smiled, a small knowing sort of smile, then added, "Don't you think?" Having never been married, I'm certainly not in a position to speculate. Shame, shame, Mr. Bridgerton. That was the worst sort of evasion. Was it? I rather thought it might be my best. I'm clearly losing my touch. That, I fear, will never be a worry. Kate finished the rest of her lemonade. It was a small glass. Lady Hart sighed. Their hostess was notoriously stingy. "You are far too generous," he said. She smiled. A real smile this time. "I am rarely accused of that, Mr. Bridgerton." He laughed right out loud in the middle of the ballroom. Kate realized with discomfort that they were suddenly the object of numerous curious stares. "You," he said, still sounding most heartily amused, "must meet my brother." "The Viscount?" she said with disbelief. "Well, you might enjoy Gregory's company as well," he allowed. "But as I said, he is only 13 and likely to put a frog on your chair." "And the Viscount?" "Is not likely to put a frog on your chair," he said with an utterly straight face. How Kate managed not to laugh, she would never know. Keeping her lips completely straight and serious, she replied, "I see. He has a great deal to recommend him, then." Colin grinned. "He's not such a bad sort." "I am much relieved. I shall begin planning the wedding breakfast immediately." Colin's mouth fell open. "I didn't mean you shouldn't. That is to say, such a move would be premature." Kate took pity on him and said, "I was joking." His face flushed slightly. "Of course. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must make my farewell." He raised a brow. "Not leaving so early, are you, Miss Sheffield?" Not at all, but she wasn't about to tell him that she had to go relieve herself. 4 glasses of lemonade tended to do that to a body. "I promised a friend I would meet her for a moment." "It has been a pleasure." He executed a smart bow. "May I see you to your destination?" "No, thank you. I shall be quite all right." And with a smile over her shoulder, she made her retreat from the ballroom. Colin Bridgerton watched her go with a thoughtful expression that made his way to his older brother, who was leaning against a wall, arms crossed in an almost belligerent manner. "Antony," he called out, slapping his brother on the back, "how was your dance with the lovely Miss Sheffield?" "She'll do," was Antony's terse reply. They both knew what that meant. "Really?" Colin's lips twitched ever so slightly. "You should meet her sister, then." "I beg your pardon?" "Her sister," Colin repeatedly, starting to laugh. "You simply must meet her sister." 20 minutes later, Antony was confident he'd gotten the whole story on Edwina Sheffield from Colin, and it seemed that the road to Edwina's heart and hand in marriage lay squarely through her sister. Edwina Sheffield apparently would not marry without the approval of her older sister. According to Colin, this was common knowledge, and had been for at least a week ever since Edwina had made an announcement to this effect at the annual Smythe-Smith musicale. The Bridgerton brothers had all missed this momentous statement, as they avoided Smythe-Smith musicales like the plague, as did anyone with any affection for Bach, Mozart, or music in any form. Edwina's older sister, one Catherine Sheffield, more commonly known as Kate, was also making her debut this year, even though she was reputed to be at least 21. Such timing led Antony to believe that the Sheffields must be among the less wealthy ranks of the ton, a fact which suited him nicely. He had no need of a bride with a great dowry, and a bride without one might have more of a need of him. Antony believed in using all of his advantages. Unlike Edwina, the elder Miss Sheffield had not immediately taken the ton by storm. According to Colin, she was generally well-liked, but she lacked Edwina's dazzling beauty. She was tall, where Edwina was tiny, and dark, where Edwina was fair. She also lacked Edwina's dazzling grace. According to Colin, who, though recently arrived in London for the season, was a veritable font of knowledge and gossip, more than one gentleman had reported sore feet after a dance with Catherine Sheffield. The entire situation seemed a bit absurd to Antony. After all, who had ever heard of a girl requiring her sister's approval for a husband? A father, yes, a brother, or even a mother, but a sister? It was unfathomable. And furthermore, it seemed odd that Edwina would look to Catherine for guidance when Catherine clearly did not know what she was about in matters of the ton. But Antony didn't particularly feel like searching out another suitable candidate to court, so he conveniently decided this simply meant that family was important to Edwina, and since family was all important to him, this was one more indication that she would make an excellent choice as a wife. So now, it appeared, all he had to do was charm the sister, and how difficult could that be? You'll have no trouble winning her over, Colin predicted, a confident smile lighting his face. No trouble at all. A shy, aging spinster? She's probably never received attentions from such a man as you. She'll never know what hit her. I don't want her to fall in love with me, Antony retorted. I just want her to recommend me to her sister. You can't fail, Colin said. You simply can't fail. Trust me, I spent a few minutes in conversation with her earlier this evening, and she could not say enough about you. Good. Antony pushed himself up off the wall and gazed out with an air of determination. Now, where is she? I need you to introduce us. Colin scanned the room for a minute or so and then said, there she is. She's coming this way, as a matter of fact. What a marvelous coincidence. Antony was coming to believe that nothing within 5 yards of his younger brother was ever a coincidence, but he followed his gaze nonetheless. Which one is she? In the green, Colin said, motioning toward her with a barely perceptible nod of his chin. She was not at all what he'd expected. Antony realized as she watched her pick her way through the crowd. She was certainly no ape-leading Amazon. It was only when compared to Edwina, who barely touched 5 feet, that she would appear so tall. In fact, Miss Catherine Sheffield was quite pleasant-looking, with her thick, medium brown hair and dark eyes. Her skin was pale, her lips pink, and she held herself with an air of confidence he could not help but find attractive. She would certainly never be considered a diamond of the first water like her sister, but Antony didn't see why she shouldn't be able to find a husband of her own. Perhaps after he married Edwina, he'd provide a dowry for her. It seemed the very least a man could do. Beside him, Colin strode forward, pushing through the crowd. Miss Sheffield! Miss Sheffield! Antony swept along in Colin's wake, mentally preparing himself to charm Edwina's older sister. An underappreciated spinster was she. He'd have her eating out of his hand in no time. Miss Sheffield, Colin was saying, what a delight to see you again. She looked a bit perplexed, and Antony didn't blame her. Colin was making it sound as if they'd bumped into each other accidentally, when they all knew he'd trampled at least 6 people to reach her side. And it's so lovely to see you again as well, sir, she replied wryly, and so unexpectedly soon after our last encounter. Antony smiled to himself. She had a sharper wit than he'd been led to believe. Colin grinned winningly, and Antony had the distinct and unsettling impression that his brother was up to something. I can't explain why, Colin said to Miss Sheffield, but it suddenly seemed imperative that I introduce you to my brother. She looked abruptly to Colin's right, and stiffened as her gaze settled on Antony. In fact, she rather looked as if she just swallowed an antidote. This, Antony thought, was odd. How kind of you, Miss Sheffield murmured between her teeth. Miss Sheffield, Colin continued brightly, motioning to Antony, my brother Antony, Viscount Bridgerton. Antony, Miss Catherine Sheffield. I believe you made the acquaintance of her sister earlier this evening. Indeed, Antony said, becoming aware of an overwhelming desire, no need, to strangle his brother. Miss Sheffield bobbed a quick and awkward curtsy. Lord Bridgerton, she said, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. Colin made a noise that sounded suspiciously like a snort, or maybe a laugh, or maybe both, and suddenly Antony knew. One look at his brother's face should have given it all away. This was no shy, retiring, underappreciated spinster, and whatever she had said to Colin earlier that evening, it had contained no compliments about Antony. Fratricide was legal in England, wasn't it? If not, it damn well should be. Antony belatedly realized that Miss Sheffield had held out her hand to him, as was only polite. He took it and brushed a light kiss across her gloved knuckles. Miss Sheffield, he murmured unthinkingly, you are as lovely as your sister. If she had seemed uncomfortable before, her bearing now turned downright hostile. And Antony realized with a mental slap that he said exactly the wrong thing. Of course he should not have compared her to her sister. It was the one compliment she could have never believed. "And you, Lord Bridgerton," she replied in a tone that could have frozen champagne, "are almost as handsome as your brother." Colin snorted again, only this time it sounded as if he were being strangled. "Are you all right?" Miss Sheffield asked. "He's fine," Antony barked. She ignored him, keeping her attention on Colin. "Are you certain?" Colin nodded furiously. "Tickle in my throat. Or perhaps a guilty conscience," Anthony suggested. Colin turned deliberately from his brother to Kate. "I think I might need another glass of lemonade," he gasped. "Or maybe," said Antony, "something stronger. Hemlock, perhaps?" Miss Sheffield clapped a hand over her mouth, presumably to stifle a burst of horrified laughter. "Lemonade will do just fine," Colin returned smoothly. "Would you like me to fetch you a glass?" she asked. Antony noticed that she'd already stepped out with one foot, looking for any excuse to flee. Colin shook his head. No, I'm quite capable. But I do believe I reserved this next dance with you, Miss Sheffield. I shall not hold you to it," she said with a wave of her hand. "Oh, but I could not live with myself if I were to leave you unattended," he replied. Antony could see Miss Sheffield growing worried at the devilish gleam in Colin's eye. He took a rather uncharitable pleasure in this. His reaction was, he knew, a touch out of proportion. But something about Miss Catherine Sheffield sparked his temper and made him positively itch to do battle with her and win. That much went without saying. "Antony," Colin said, sounding so deucedly innocent and earnest that it was all Antony could do to not kill him on the spot. "You're not engaged for a dance, are you? Or you're not engaged for this dance, are you?" Antony said nothing, just glared at him. "Good, then you will dance with Miss Sheffield." "I'm sure that's not necessary," the woman in question blurted out. Antony glared at his brother, then for good measure at Miss Sheffield, who was looking at him as if he'd just despoiled 10 virgins in her presence. "Oh, but it is," Colin said with great drama, ignoring the optical daggers being hurled across their little threesome. "I could never dream of abandoning a young lady in her hour of need. How," he shuddered, "ungentlemanly." Antony thought seriously about pursuing some ungentlemanly behavior himself, perhaps planting his fist in Colin's face. "I assure you," Miss Sheffield said quickly, "that being left to my own devices would be far preferable to Enough, Antony thought savagely. It was really enough. His own brother had already played him for a fool. He was not going to stand idly by while he was insulted by Edwina's sharp-tongued spinster sister. He laid a heavy hand on Miss Sheffield's arm and said, "Allow me to prevent you from making a grievous mistake, Miss Sheffield." She stiffened. How, he did not know. Her back was already ramrod straight. "I beg your pardon," she said. "I believe," he said smoothly, "that you were about to say something that you would soon regret." "No," she said, sounding deliberately thoughtful. "I don't think regrets were in my future." "They will be," he said ominously, and then he grabbed her arm and practically dragged her onto the ballroom floor. Crazy. Hey, Andrew. Hi, Demon Fox King. Welcome in. Welcome in. I was just doing a little bit of light reading. We're reading the Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the second book in the Bridgerton series. How are you? How are you? How are you? He is getting hot. Should I read another chapter or should I switch to another game? It's been almost 2 hours. How long are these books? They are very long. The chapters are very long. That's why I'm like, ugh, I think I might switch gears. But almost 2 hours of reading is pretty good, right? That's pretty good. We're gonna switch gears, and I think I'm gonna play the Tiny Bookshop for a little bit. Bear is the best audiobook. Thank you. What game am I thinking of playing? Probably the Tiny Bookshop. Or actually, no, I think I'm gonna play as The Seat Taken. That's what I feel like playing. That was like 40 mins for that chapter. They're long chapters. I'm gonna guess that we're probably not collabing. Hayami asked for an hour, and it's been a minute, so she's probably still nose deep in her chemistry assignment. So your voice is very pleasant and soothing. Would totally listen to you do a full audiobook. Oh my god, stop, guys. I wish I could get paid to do something like that. I would enjoy that much more than what I do now. Okay, allow me one more 5-minute break, and then when I come back, uh, no worries, Ori. I dropped my schedule in the thing, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, we'll just have to pick another day. That is totally okay, because I'm probably just gonna stream for like another hour or so. But I'm gonna take one more 5-minute break, and when we return, we're gonna switch gears and play. I'm gonna play some. Is this seat taken? Which I've been really enjoying. So stand up, get water, do what you gotta do, and I will see you guys very soon. Be right back. All right, y'all. We are back. Oh my goodness. What'd you guys do during the break, if anything? Me, I just sat here in silence. Again, I sat here in silence after all that talking. After all that talking, I was like, man, I just need to sit here and not hear my own voice. I was about to say, you've been gone for a while. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. You've done nothing. Oh, welcome back. All right, so before the break, I was reading The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. It's the second book in the Bridgerton series. And now, after the break, after about 2 hours of that, I am going to switch gears and play Is This Seat Taken? It's a game that I started playing, earlier this week, and I'm hooked. I quite like it. I think it's this one that I have it on here, right? Yeah, it should be. So let's get this music turned off. Hello? It should... Why are you... This is just gonna irritate me. Come on now. Hello? Okay. I guess I have to re-add the scene for some reason, even though I shouldn't have to. Should just work, but it don't. Don't you guys just love that? Okay, I was about to say hello, so we're just gonna be dumb all day today? Let me get my life together. You do? I do love that. Well, I don't. Okay, now we need to make myself smaller because I am gigantic. I'll stay like here. This is fine. And then I gotta turn this down because I'm sure it's crazy loud. Let me know how the volume is. Let's see. We've only had one where we couldn't get a complete gold star, and I truly don't know what I would have done. That one was kind of a hard one, but I'm not gonna go back and replay it. All the other ones we've been doing pretty well. This person wants to sit in the direction of the vehicle and they play loud music, so we're just gonna put them back here. This person wants to sleep and they want to sit in the direction of the vehicle, so we can't put them too close. This person is a yapper and they don't want to be next to Victoria. I wonder if I put them here, will it let them? And this person, who's their parent? And this person wants to sit in the direction of the vehicle. This isn't close enough for you? Okay, well, it looks like we can put them right next to the loudmouth. I'm missing the star. I know, someday I'll go back. This person wants to stand and they want their backpack next to them. Freya does not want to be next to a kid. Oh, Vader, why? Why? Thank you. Freya wants to be by the window. Does this count? Yeah. And they don't want to be next to a kid. Artemis cannot stand talking and they don't like the smell of cologne. So this is perfect for them. Onyx wants to read and they don't like strong odors. So we could probably put them next to the Sleeping Beauty here. And Victoria's a kid. They want an aisle seat and they don't like strong odors. So they can also go here. Did my throw things even work? I didn't even get to see. Like, did it hit me? Yuki wants to be with Asher. And they want to talk to somebody. So we're going to put Asher here next to the loudmouth. And then we'll put Yuki here. Who's Asher? And we're going to move Sleeping Beauty. Oh, I'll move Sleeping Beauty here. He looked away. Nat wants to be by the window. Oh! Okay, I guess it worked, thanks. Nat wants to be by the window and they can't stand loud music, so this is the perfect place for them. This person wants to stand and they forgot to shower. This person wants to be with Asher, wants to sit in the direction of the vehicle, and they forgot to shower. There. All the annoying people are in the very back. I like this game because it's just telling people, like, sorting them. I was like, I wish it would get rid of all these annoying people. Tolga. Ari never showers. That's why he's so filthy. Tolga wants to read and they want their backpack next to them, so this seems like a perfect place for them because it's not really bothering anybody. Aubrey wants to be alone and they want to sleep, so we're gonna put them here. Isaac doesn't like bad smells and they want to sit in the direction of the vehicle. Who's stinky? Oh, this person. Okay, well they can just... Who's stinky? Ugh. There. Ooh. They want to be with Tolga, but they want to read. It doesn't look like they really care. There we go. This person wants to be with their parent, Isaac, and they're wearing too much cologne. And this person wants to be with their parent, Isaac, and they also have too much cologne, even though they're a kid. I didn't think kids wore cologne, but okay. All these people and their dang demands. Don't take public transport. Is this the end of my journey? I've spent so much time looking for an answer. I can't go back home like this. But what if Luca was right? What if I'm just not cut out for this? I heard there's an acting class here in London. Maybe I could give that a try. Picky peeps. Oh, thank God they got rid of a ton of people. This person wants to read. Oh, shoot. This person wants to be alone. Damn it. Well, okay, we'll just put them here for now. Rupert wants to be alone. This person wants to be with their parent, Angela, and they forgot to shower. These people, they want to talk and they want to be by the window. This person doesn't like strong odors. Okay, here and here. What? Oh my Christ. Who? Dang it.
Water.
Now I have to really think about this. What if I move them like this? Okay, there. How can he not concentrate? Because someone's talking. Hi, Soon-kun. Thank you for throwing things. Thank you for the hydrate check. This person wants to stand and they play loud music? Damn it. What? Okay. Okay, there we go. And this person wants to stand and play loud music. Oh wait, this person wants to be alone? Oh my gosh! They want to be alone. Is this alone enough? Okay, cool. And this person... Okay, cool. If you want to be alone, don't take public transport. No, I don't. That was a lie. I love being alone on public transport, but that's unrealistic. How are you, Soon-kun? It's impossible to have all these demands met in the real world. Oi, this match is gonna be a proper belter. Let's grab our seats. Nadia. The seat can do one, bruv. I'm standing all match. These are Bulls people. Yeah, bollocks to sittin'. We can fold them chairs. Ain't we blocking the view though? I can't commit to a British accent. They can stand too. Let's see. This person wants to sit alone and they eat popcorn. This person wants to stand and be in row 2. Well, is this row 2? Well, I don't understand. Can I close the seats? Oh, okay. I'm gonna be like, what the heck? This person wants to be with Atlas, and Atlas cannot see from far away, and they're cheering for the visitor team. Who wants to be near Atlas? Oh wait, they don't care. They can sit down. Blimey, I spent my afternoon sipping some tea on Tuesday, innit? Yeah, it's crazy. This is row 3. This person wants to stand and be with Nadia in row 1. Okay, so this guy can't be here. This person wants to stand. Okay, there. I guess if they're cheering for different teams, they can't be near each other. This person cheers for the home team and they want to steal popcorn. But this guy wants to be alone, so we're gonna move him right here. This person wants to sit and be in row 2. What? Okay. That's how fight starts. I guess so. And this person wants to be with Isaac. They're blocking my view. Like, shut up. This person wants to sit and be in row 4. And this person wants to stand, be in row 3, and they're cheering for the home team. Oh, the visiting team. So they can't be too close to a home team person. I know, some people are so annoying. Oh, great. They left behind dirty chairs. That's nice. This person has sensitive ears and they want to stand. Well, what does that have to do with anything? This person wants to stand. Actually, let's put him here. This person wants to be in row 4 and they have sensitive ears. Perfect. This person wants his backpack next to them and they cheer for the home team. This person wants to be alone and they cheer for the home team. Is this alone enough for you? There's a backpack in between you guys. This person wants to be with Evelyn and they cheer for the visiting team, and Evelyn wants to be in row 3, wants to sit, and they're cheering for the visiting team. So row 3 with Evelyn. What? Oh. Well, fine. This person wants to be alone and they cheer for the home team. And this person cheers for the home team and they want their backpack next to them. There. Hey there, hey there. Could you imagine if public transport was this accommodating? Honestly, here are a few things that I wish would change about public transport. I'm about to rant for a sec. I wish that and it's mainly airlines, right? I wish that if someone was pouring into your seat and taking up your space, it was appropriate to tell the flight attendant. Because I absolutely hate when I'm sitting in my chair and my chair is being overtaken because somebody wants to spread out. That's usually the number one culprit. It's usually a man. They sit with their knees so far apart, and now they're in my space. And it's absolutely, yeah, man spreading, exactly. I hate it. Or They don't want to lean up against the person on the right side, and because I'm like a small lady, they do it on my left side. It drives me absolutely crazy. I wish I could be like, "Excuse me, flight attendant, could you please tell this monster to get off of me?" I hate it. I always kind of like, my skin kind of crawls when I think that they might secretly be enjoying that our arms are touching. It drives me crazy. You're 6'4", you have no choice but to. Well, at least be nice about it, I guess. I don't know. I hate it. I don't like it, Harambe, because it's always like that. Because I'll be sitting there in my chair trying to be considerate, and next thing you know, I have to like curl my shoulders in, put my hands in my lap, all because of this gargantuan person next to me. This 6'4" person next to me is manspreading and invading my space. I hate it. I hate it. It's always on the airline too. And then I like get sick. I'm like, please don't secretly be enjoying that our thighs are touching or that our arms are touching. And then my skin starts to crawl and I'm just uncomfortable. I'm absolutely talking to you, Harambe. I've had a lady place her purse under the chair in front of me using my leg space. Yeah, exactly. I will kick somebody's stuff out the way. I'm not even playing. Here at Toasty Incorporated, we care about your needs. And by care, I mean we don't pass that the level unless we do. Exactly. Except for one. How are you? Hey there, hey there. This person cheers for root for the home team, and they eat popcorn. And this person, there, you guys can be near each other. This person wants to stand, and I can't put them in front of somebody that isn't standing. This person wants to steal popcorn, and they want to sit. And this person wants to stand and cheer for the home team. Root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Come on. I'll just sit. This person doesn't care if they're sitting or standing, so. Holy sh. Ah! What are they cheering for? The home team? Oh my Christ. Where can I put you? Oh my God, where can I put you? Is it these two? Is it these two that need to move? Who's unhappy? It's you? You want to be alone? Oh my gosh. Okay, there. Who's unhappy? Who's upset? Oh, this person's upset. They want to be in row 3? Oh my God. Oh my gosh, I'm literally gonna like, I'm gonna scream. There's nobody else eating popcorn, so they have to be together. It's these two. These two are messing it up for everybody. This person wants to be with Evelyn. Evelyn wants to sit. Okay, okay. Home team, visiting team. Okay. This person is the home team and they want to stand. It's too hard. They cheer for... This person doesn't care where they are. This person has sensitive ears and wants to stand. Is this okay? Okay. Aha! There we go. Everyone's happy. Damn, they have so many stupid demands. Let me turn my raids off because I don't want to be raided. Ugh, they're so needy. I have sensitive ears. Don't come to a game then. Wear earplugs. Thanks for inviting me, Coda. Sorry I've been kind of a buzzkill lately. For real? I thought you were just doing the brooding artist thing, trying to be cool. He looks like prison. I'm Prison Mike. Brooding? Thank you for the posture check. I am slouching because I was concentrating. No, I've just been feeling down about my acting skills. And thank you for the hydrate check. You're the best actor in our class, Nat. Has a plan for you. The worst part about prison are the dementors. I know, I could hear it in your voice. This person wants to sit, but they don't want to be in a dirty seat. I'll sort them last. This person wants to stand, and they want to be with Elizabeth. So we're gonna close up this dirty seat. Where is Elizabeth? They don't want a dirty seat, and they cheer for the home team. They have a horn, and they cheer for the visiting team. Nat wants to be in row 1, and they don't want to be in a dirty seat. This person wants to stand, and they have a horn. This person has sensitive ears, and they want to be with Nat, so they can't be there. Sensitive ears. Oh my god. Let's... Home team, visiting team. Okay, let's move them back 1. This person cheers for the home team. Home team. And they want to steal popcorn. This person wants to sit in row 4. And they want to sit. This person wants to be in row 2 and they eat popcorn. This person wants to stand and they have a horn. This person wants to stand and steal popcorn and they cheer for the visiting team. Home team. Let's do this. And they want to stand, steal popcorn, and they cheer for the visiting team. There we go. Whoever would want to be in a dirty seat? Just why? Like, clear. These are what, 1, 2, 3, 3 pieces of popcorn. Just, you know. This person has sensitive ears, and they cheer for the home team. But they don't care if they're in a dirty seat. This person doesn't want to. They want to sit, and they don't want to be in a dirty seat. That wasn't too bad. That one was more tolerable. Oh god, all these different people. This person wants to stand, and they cheer for the visiting team. This person wants to be in row 2. They have a horn, and they cheer for the visiting team. This person doesn't want a dirty seat, and they want to steal popcorn, and they cheer for the visiting team. This person cheers for the visiting team, and they eat popcorn, and they don't care if they're in a dirty seat. This person has sensitive ears, and they cheer for the visiting team, so we're gonna put them in this dirty seat. This person cannot see well from far away, and they cheer for the visiting team. And lucky for us, this is the team of visitors. So here you go. And this little piggy went wee 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 all the way home. Exactly. This person wants to stand and they cheer for the home team. This person wants to steal popcorn and they cheer for the home team. This person wants to be in row 4. They eat popcorn and they cheer for the home team. This person doesn't want to sit in a... Okay, let's move them all. We're just going to shuffle them all down 1. This person doesn't want to sit in a dirty seat and they cheer for the home team. This person wants to be alone. Okay, you can go probably here. Oh my gosh, here. Here? Here. Can you be here? Doesn't want to sit and they cheer for the home team. But I put all of these people together. Are you kidding me? Alone? There's like no place for you to be alone. I want to steal popcorn. Okay, okay, okay. This person has sensitive ears and they cheer for the home team. To be alone. Alone. Maybe like here and then like here. And then this person has sensitive ears and they cheer for the home team. So like here? Oh my gosh. How about like here? You're not sitting in it! You're not sitting in it! Put them here. In the trash? I have to think. There we go. What? Oh my gosh, how? How? You're like, you're alone. Oh my god. I don't know where I can put him. Holy shit. I felt like this was so good. I felt like I had it all figured out. They have sensitive ears and they cheer for the home team, so we're just gonna put them up here. What? Ah. This person wants to be alone and they cheer for the home team. Okay. Now let's see what else. This person wants to be in row 4 and they eat popcorn. Damn it. This person wants to be in row 4. What are you? Visiting team? Home team? What? You have sensitive ears? Why are you here? Okay. Yeah, just sit down and shut up. Are they gonna care if they're blocking the view? Of course they are. Of course you are. Oh my gosh, I don't understand. There's too many. There's too many. Maybe I gotta, maybe, okay. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. Let's try putting them all in the top first, okay? This person wants to stand and they cheer for the home team. This person doesn't want a dirty seat and they cheer for the home team. This person cannot see well from far away. Okay, we'll get you to you later. Visiting team. Visiting team. Are these home teams? Yeah. Row 2, visiting team. Visiting team. They have sensitive ears and home team. This person wants to be in row 4. What? Who's being loud? Oh my god. Dude, why are you here? There, okay, okay. This person wants to be alone and they cheer for the home team. And this person has sensitive ears and they cheer for the visiting team. You shouldn't have come here. You should specifically should have just stayed home. Nobody wants you here anyways. This person wants to be in row 2 and they have a horn for some reason. This person wants to stand up. Okay. Okay. This person eats popcorn and they cheer for the visiting team. This person doesn't want to sit. Da, 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 da. Okay. Oh, you! Why are you here? What does it matter? You literally don't have to be here. Oh my gosh. I don't know where to put them. Nobody's bothering you. Like, I can't put him here, or here, or here, or here, or here. Okay, I guess that works for some reason. Even though he's still next to all the yappers, I don't see how that fixed it, but whatever. God, all of them and their dumb demands. That was a doozy. Like, I don't understand. God, can't you accommodate this one person? I know, right? I have to keep sorting through them. They need a gap between the yappers? I guess, but like, why would you come to a game? People are gonna yap. Because the other guy adjacent diagonally was chanting because he was next to the rest. So, that's what you do. Don't come to a game if you don't want to hear people chanting. If you want to be alone, go by the... I don't know. I don't know. Good evening, class. Before we begin, I want to go over the grading criteria. Attendance is 70% of your final grade and the final exam. I wish this is great. Attendance is 70%. That's great. That doesn't add up to 100. This is acting class, not math class. Tell him, teacher. This is the worst churro I've ever had. You're so sad. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me put you on. The best churros ever are at Disneyland or Disney World. I am not a sweets person, but I will eat like 50 of them things. Lee just wants to chat. Mateo wants to chat. Oh, but they don't want to. Okay, the teacher doesn't like seeing them chat. What? They want all the students quiet? But they just want to chat. Let's just put all the smellies next to each other. Are you kidding me? This is considered far away? Oh my god. Oh my gosh, the yappers. The yappers, they're terrible. How can they yap? They're seats apart. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, hang on now. Okay, hang on. Where can I get a churro cheesecake? That sounds so good. Churros and cheesecake are your weak spots for sweets. And a churro cheesecake? Oh lordy Lou. I could see Disney having something like that. Okay, hang on. I clearly have misjudged the Yapper's ability to sit and chat. Who can't see far away? This person can't see far away. That's what I need to start with first. Can't see far away, doesn't like bad smells. Okay. Okay, we just need one more Yapper that doesn't mind bad smells. Bad smells to be up here, so there. Now we gotta put another stinky person near the stinky person. So we're gonna put Victor here, right? This person doesn't mind bad smells. We gotta put a Yapper. We gotta separate the Yappers. Damn it! Okay. There we go, there we go. This is very school accurate, yeah. I gotta start with the people that can't see far away first, so. This person cannot see far away and they copy other students. Wants to chat, needs help. Who can't see far away? Okay, cool. This person needs help, and this person doesn't like bad smells and likes to help others. Let's place the stinky people next. This person does not like being helped, has forgotten to shower, and they help others. Who needs help? Wants to chat. Does this count? This person doesn't like being copied or being helped, and this person can't see far away. Boom, we have our lineup. These nasty people thinking Axe was a shower replacement. Yeah, I know, right? This person doesn't like being helped. This person wants to chat. This person needs help. Wants to chat, needs help. Wants to chat, needs help. Does not like being copied. Needs help. Chat. Damn it. Okay, this is the only guy that will help people. So you can get moved. This is our lineup. Okay, does not like being copied. Oh my god, Nat, nobody, it's not about you. Nobody's copying you. Nobody wants your stupid help. But you can sit up here by yourself. This person wants to chat and copies other students. This person doesn't like being copied, so they can sit here by Nat and they can just be elitist. This person needs help and doesn't like bad smells. Wait. Copies other students. Oh my god. And you can't see far away? Who else can help? Can you help? Okay, okay. The smelly guy can help. That's cool. I forgot. This person wants to chat and needs help. Oh my god, you stupid yapper. Who is copying you? Who? Who's helping you? Oh my god, who? Oh my gosh. They're not even in your orbit. Why does a smelly person take up 6 seats? Have I ever cheated or copied from someone in an exam? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I don't trust anybody except myself. Okay, this smelly guy takes up too much space, so he's gonna and he needs 3, he occupies 3 slots. So he has to be up here, right? Because if I put him here, let's just, for ha-has and oh-hos, shift him down, okay? If I put him here, he can still smell him. For some reason, the smelly guy takes up, like, 1,000,000 seats. Unless I do it like this. Who needs help? Who needs help? Like, how? Okay, so they have to be worlds apart. Okay. And this person can't see far away, and this person can't see far away. So it has to be, this has to be this lineup. Can't see far away, can't see far away. Who's copying you? This? Holy okay, cool. Can I move the smelly person into the corner? Then they only take up 4. I found our lineup. I found our lineup. He has to have 3 seats, like 1, 2, 3, because 2 other people needed help, and it was just him and this guy and the smelly guy that could help people. So this person who can't see far away, that's where I need to start. Cannot see far away and copies other students because he sucks. Okay, this is the only person that can't see far away and he copies other students. Mateo doesn't like bad smells. Who needs help? Who needs help? Needs help. Okay, these 2 can be next to each other. We gotta set, the yappers are gonna be the final boss this time. Alexi has forgotten to shower, so they can just, we're gonna take your suggestion of putting them in the corner. Victor doesn't like being copied and doesn't like bad smells. And Nat doesn't like being copied or being helped. So they can go here for now. Derry is easily distracted and has a crush on Alexi, so I can't put them there, and doesn't like being helped. So I can't put them there, yeah, so we're gonna have to put them up here. Lee doesn't like being helped or being copied. Is this close in? Okay, that's good. Nadia helps others. Ah, they're not offering it to you. Holy sh... And this person wants to chat. There we go. Yeah, this is Nat. Just because they're holding a book doesn't mean they're helping you. Who can't see far away? Okay. This person stinks and they want to chat and they forgot to shower. Who's a helper? This person helps others and has forgotten to shower. I feel like I should just stick them like this though. And they also need help? Let's just put all the smelly people right up in front then. Even though I feel like that takes up a lot, but the one needs help and help. I know, right? This person is easily distracted and has a crush on Derry. Oh, this is gonna suck so much. Oh, wait. Doesn't like bad smells and helps others. This person needs help. Who else needs help? Who else needs help? Who else needs help? This person helps others. This person wants to chat. This person doesn't like being helped. They're not helping you. They're not helping you. They're just existing. Oh my god, Nat, not everything is about you. Christ. Oh my gosh. Okay, hang on now. It is. This person is the only one that can't move. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay, I didn't think this would work, but okay, cool. I have to get like so quiet to concentrate. Sorry guys, I got locked in. You've all shown great promise this semester. I haven't seen such potential since I got Luca in my class. Nat, that's why nobody likes you. I don't think that would, I didn't think putting her there would work. I thought she'd be like, oh my gosh, they're offering to help me. I've decided to recommend Nat and Coda. Make us all proud. Great, I'm so glad we're rewarding Nat's behavior by allowing them to join an acting class. They're gonna be like, I don't want anyone to help me. I don't want anyone to help me. I'm the best actress ever, even though I can't get any gigs. Alright, we are gonna get this stream wrapped up, shall we? Because even though I don't stream, or I don't work tomorrow, I still don't want to stream too much and then not want to be here with you guys tomorrow. So let's get it wrapped up, okay? Thank you guys so much for being here with me on this glorious Sunday night. Y'all could have been anywhere, but you were here with me, and as always, I am so thankful. We are gonna raid somebody, so just give me a second while I figure out what's on the menu for tomorrow. I'm actually not sure. I want to say Hearthstone, but I've been having like no luck with tomorrow, or with Hearthstone, excuse me. So we'll see. We might do some Hearthstone and Tiny Bookshop to balance it out. Raid 1 is for subs, Raid 2 is for followers. I see you saying you won't be here tomorrow. No worries, no worries. I will miss you. Let's see, where do we want to go? Where do we want to go? Just give me a second while I figure out where we're heading. We are going to go raid Nabunan, who is playing Sonic Racing, something that I don't play at all, and I love Nabunan. They're so sweet. Hi Dryad Knight, welcome in. We're about to go head over to Nabunan's to raid. Like I said, raid 1 is for subs, raid 2 is for followers. You are late, but I'm so happy you were here. I'll be back here tomorrow, do not fret. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Y'all could have been anywhere, but you're here with me, and as always, I am so grateful. I will see you back here tomorrow at 7:30-ish CST. And remember, the stream schedule for this week is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. All right, I'll see you guys over there. Good night and stay sweet, everyone. Bye, y'all.